Hey everyone, this is Don Guccione, back with more quick and accessible health and fitness tips. We're going to do a video today on walking. So I'm not really traveling anywhere right now, but that is a good way to exercise with no equipment as long as you can maintain the social distancing that's required at the time of this video. Recording is April 18th, 2020. So what we're going to do is talk about some of the fundamentals of walking, probably something a lot of us don't really think about, and we'll start from the bottom up. So feet. First of all, like when you start off, we did a video on the squat a little while ago. You want to make sure that you're up nice and tall. So that starts at the bottom, goes all the way up through. We'll talk more about the upper body as we work our way up. But your feet. So you want to think about having a nice balance point here, and when you go to take a step, what's actually driving the movement is your hips. So your feet aren't really the thing that's going to propel you while you're walking or running. That's actually coming from the center of your body. So for your feet though, when you take a step, important thing to think about is dorsiflexing your foot. So that means basically having your toe not here, but here. So what that's going to do, you can just do a little drill here. Make sure you're dorsiflexing in place. What that's going to do is prevent you from having a shuffle when you walk, which is very important for balance and for a smooth stride. So if you don't pick up your feet, dorsiflex, you could end up dragging your toe, dragging the bottom of your foot, and that's going to be inefficient and can actually end up being dangerous if you do it over time. If you shuffle your feet and catch it on something, that can lead to some falls, which we want to obviously avoid. We're trying to get out and get some activity. So dorsiflex, up, up. Okay. So coming up through, when I mentioned the thing that actually propels you is your hip. So when you're going to take a step, what you're actually doing is, when you're walking, you should actually think about bracing your midsection, because what that's going to do is help you with a smooth transfer of your body weight and actually help your hips propel the movement. So if you saw the squat video, deadlift video, I can backlink that here as well. Basically, you want to tighten and brace your midsection. So when you're walking, not that you have to think about it as if you're about to do a deadlift, but you want to maintain some tension in the core of your body. Brace your midsection so that when you drive with your opposite hip, so if I'm stepping with so this is my right foot, again, the camera flips it sometime. If I'm going to put this one forward, I'm creating tension on this side to propel myself forward. And then the tension is transferred from your hip down through your foot, and then it's a transfer to the next one. So step, step. So the other important thing, think about, so you're generating from your hip, step. When you're taking your stride, so thinking about the bottom of the activity here, you don't want to take too big of a stride, or that's going to put you off balance. So working our way up here, you always want to be tall, shoulders want to be back. If you take too big of a stride, it might pitch you forward. So you should be taking the stride that makes sense. You can play around with that here, step, transfer, step, transfer. And if the length of the stride is going to vary depending on how quickly you're walking. So if we're doing a drill in place here to learn about the transfer, it's going to be a pretty small stride like you see there. So if I'm trying to take too big of a stride as I'm starting off, it's going to throw things off, pitch me forward, and put me into a bad posture. So working up through, we talked about feet, hips, core being tight. Your upper body really wants to be completely relaxed while you're walking. So you want to take inventory. So check it out in the mirror. Make sure that you're up tall, you have good posture, you have some tension in your midsection. But find a way to inventory your shoulders and your arms and make sure that those are relaxed. And when you're walking, when you're striding, you want to move your arms in sync with your stride. So what that looks like is basically if you're stepping with one leg, you're driving the opposite arm. So here, transfer here. And when you walk, you don't necessarily need to do the running stride. You could if you're power walking. That actually helps synchronize the movement. But you want to think about, okay, if I'm walking here, I go opposite, opposite, just to keep the movement fluid. But you got to keep them relaxed. So if you have a tendency when you walk to feel tension in your shoulders, if you find yourself hunched up, take a deep breath and try to really relax. And as you're walking, take inventory of that as well. Am I relaxed? Am I holding tension anywhere that I shouldn't be? And make sure that's a constant process for you, whether you're power walking or just, if you find yourself here, just deep breath, try to shake it out, move the arms. Keeping going up through, we talked about shoulders, arms. Your head always wants to be over your center of gravity. So if you're leaning your head forward, that's going to develop some poor movement patterns over time. It can be a contributing factor to that shuffle. Could be contributing to taking too big of a stride, contribute to rounding your back. So always make sure you're up nice and tall and your head is aligned over your hips as you take a stride. So here, not here. All right. So that's really basics, maybe things that we don't think about while we're walking, but fundamentals are always important. So hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Give a comment, give a like. We'll see you next time with more No Equipment, No Problem.